Hi, and welcome to the morning meeting. Thanks for joining us. This is your live Q&A with a home care expert. I'm Julio Briones, and those of you that don't already know me, I am the CEO and senior consultant of Briones Consulting Group, where we strive to help you get your home care agency moving in the right direction and profitable in as quick a time as possible. We will also help you get your agency from just run-of-the-mill competing with everyone else to that next level of becoming a white glove agency so you can achieve your 3, 5, or even greater $1 million mark in a shorter amount of time. All right, so anybody who's new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for watching. Just please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so that you can get informed whenever we put out new content. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. And you can just leave comments below if you're watching the replay of this. So let's get started. This is a live Q&A with the expert. So let's start by taking a look here at a question that keeps coming up. One question that I was actually asked, that I'm actually asked regularly, is about recruiting. At what point do we ramp up recruiting, and at what point, how do I bring more caregivers on board? I've said this a lot, and again, it's one of those things that people they get upset with me when I say this. And the fact is that recruiting is easy. Everybody's competing for the same pool of caregivers. All you got to really do is pay better. And once people know that you are paying better, that there's work available, they will flock to you. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can set up signs, figure out where the caregivers go, where do they go on their own time. A few suggestions to put flyers up would be laundromats, nail salons, supermarkets. You can go to talk to different people in daycare centers. Also go where the clients are. Wherever your ideal clients are, the odds are that there are going to be other home care providers in that area, because you're competing again for the same group of caregivers. And if you want a set of caregivers that are used to working with private pay clients, go to where the private pay clients live and post in those areas as well. Now, as far as the common question that I get asked is, when do you ramp it up? The fact is, if you haven't opened your business yet, if you haven't opened your home care agency, you need to focus on recruitment. If you're in a state that requires licensing, then you may want to be a little more passive about it. But the minute that your application is in, that you know where you're going to be, you have your office already in place, go for it. Start recruiting passively. Put the word out. Talk to the labor department. Start building those relationships. Recruiting is no different than sales in the sense that you still need to build your in-group. That influencers network is what's going to make or break your business on a couple of different levels. Get to it. Talk to the owners of the laundromat. Talk to your any caregivers you may know. To go to visit the school, the training schools in your area. If you're in an area that has more lax requirements for caregivers, then go see your CNA schools. Go to your RN, to your community colleges that they train LPNs and RNs. Here's the thing. It's all about how you present your messaging. Okay, and we'll do another video on that at another point. But essentially, you want to sell the dream. Okay, it's nothing else. And I know some of you are sitting there thinking, what dream? The dream on how to care for the elderly. Well, no, it really is selling the dream. If I am a nursing student, and you, the viewer, are a nursing student as well. And we've both graduated, we've taken our state exams, we've got our license. We are getting ready to go out and get that first job. We both scored top of our class. We both performed fantastically on our clinicals. We both have very, very good quality recommendations. And we walk into the same hospital and we apply for the same position as an entry-level nurse. But I went to work for a home care agency while I was in nursing school. So what ends up happening? Because I have that direct patient care experience, I will have a higher likelihood of getting that first job than you. And that is how you have to present this at the CNA schools, at the LPN schools, or LVN, depending on the state where you are, or at nursing schools. Because while the job is lower on the scale than where they want it to work, being able to communicate to them the value of being with you and the value of having that direct patient care experience will bring to them in the long run. That is your selling point. That is what will get you that employee, that staff member. That is how you bring them in. Pay a little bit better, learn to sell the dream. Okay. What is the benefit? It's no different than trying to sell or close to a facility or a client or the client's family. It's still, you have the same basic issues. You got to communicate that idea, identify that problem, and describe a solution and explain why you're the best person to provide it. So that is the recruitment. This is how you get them in the door. Now, as far as the frequency and volume, well, even if you're brand new and don't have a single case in the world, you still take applications. You don't necessarily hire them, but you take applications and you just crank them out. If you can get a good roster of 40, 50, 60, 100 caregivers that applied, that filled out that application, came in and took some of the initial skills testing, then fantastic. Get to it, and get people on board and get them to come. Because when you start getting cases and you are sitting there trying to panic and you're saying, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to cover this case?" Instead of turning the case away, you have a roster of people that you can begin to communicate with in order to cover that case. I will give you guys a great example. I had a client in Pennsylvania that they kept running into this problem. They were generally new, and they were just told consistently, until you open, don't worry about recruiting. So I had just started working with them, and what ends up happening is the very day that I come in, they actually get a call for a 168-hour case. So that I'll save you guys the math on that. That means that the client wanted 24 hours, 7-day-a-week care, and they were willing to pay by the hour. So what this means for the agency owner was very simply that they needed a minimum of 6 caregivers in order to effectively run and staff this case. They did not have any. All right. So what that means is that the owner on his own had to go and cover a lot of these shifts. And his complaint and his issue was very simply, "Oh my goodness, how do I go about and hire more caregivers?" Well, the fact is, if he would have brought me on earlier, like at the time when he was starting the process to open up, he would have had the opportunity to be able to have enough potential staff on board on his inactive caregivers list of pending caregivers, of people that want work. There isn't a caregiver shortage. There's an effort shortage. There's a retention shortage, and there is a culture shortage in your office. But there is no caregiver shortage. I understand many of you are going to bring up some people that that are my direct competitors. You're going to bring up the reports in Home Care Pulse, which Home Care Pulse is a fantastic company, by the way. If you haven't signed up for them, do it. They will definitely help your business grow. They will bring up Home Care Association reports. Everybody's talking the gloom and doom of a caregiver shortage. It is my experience. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And in my experience, I have found that, again, the shortage does not exist. A little known fact by many of you who, unless you watch my stuff regularly, I started my career in home care recruiting. And I will tell you, this is before I did sales, before I did operations, before anything. And I will tell you very simply, I've never had an issue finding caregivers, ever. Okay. That's it. That shortage, I always believed it. I've heard this for years. I've heard the doom and gloom. I've heard all of this for many, many years. And at the end of the day, I've never seen a legitimate shortage. I have yet to work for an agency when I started out, with a franchise company during my career in franchising, the portion of my career that involved that, and as an independent consultant. In any situation, I've never found that someone who is actively recruiting in the right way, that is actively collecting the caregiver applications, and that is actively doing proper retention practices and quality assurance practices that encompass the client, the referral source, and the caregiver. In no instance that people are doing the proper things to grow their business has there been a situation where there has been a legitimate caregiver shortage and where there has been an instance where someone has had to turn away business. So that is my take on caregiver recruitment, as at least from an initial standpoint, and from the view of someone who was a recruiter at one point. The key takeaway here is very simple: recruit, recruit, recruit. Your primary function will be, from the minute you decide to open this, is to start getting the word out there that you are hiring, and just start taking applications and cranking them out, and make sure you have a link on your website. Make it easy for people. Have a link on connected to your company Facebook page. Have links connected to your Instagram accounts if you're using social media. Have links connected to your LinkedIn account, both personal and on your company profile page. Also, again, that's all about making it easy. Have one-sheet forms that people can fill out just for general information. Have the full applications always on deck. Have applications consistently running on the job boards. ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Monster, I believe there's another one. There's a ton of these job boards. Make sure that you're consistently doing it. Figure out what works best for you and take it from there. We'll actually be putting out a course in the new year specifically on how to handle caregiver recruitment and caregiver retention, so that we can take away your excuse as well on the caregiver shortage. All right, so let's go ahead and answer a question for them of one of these submissions. So we have Sandra from Columbus, Ohio. I'm new to the home care industry and want to know what advice can you give me so that I can get started getting private pay clients. All right, Sandra, thank you very much for submitting. And you kind of I picked this question because this is probably the most asked question that I get. Look, you have to have a plan. All right, this is it. There's nothing more to this. It even goes hand in hand with what my company's built around. Prepare, plan, rebuild. Okay, you got to have a plan at some point. What is it that you're doing? How are you going to build your business? How are you going to structure everything so that you can actually get moving in the right direction for building your private pay practice? Here's what it comes down to. When you are taking Medicaid or other state programs, it is much easier to get clients than it is when you are doing private pay. You actually provide a benefit. Okay, you're providing a benefit to the client because they have insurance. It's easy to get people to sign up. In the sense that, excuse me a moment. It's easy to get clients in the sense that you will have yourself on rosters. You will get things moving around, and I do apologize for that. I forgot to shut my phone off. Stuff happens to the best of us. So, but getting back to it, when you're taking state waiver, when you're doing Medicaid, when you're doing Medicare Advantage plans, VA, homebound, VA, home care, it's easier. You get yourself on these rosters, you build these minor relationships, you move on, business will eventually flow in because you're making it easy for people to sign up with you. It's a paperwork shuffle. I can take your client, if I open an agency right next door to yours, you have a client, you have a caregiver, I offer your caregiver a few bucks, they come, they bring their client with them, everybody's happy. When we're talking about private pay, things are a little bit different. And it's because you're only taking a couple of methods of payment, and that's cash or long-term care insurance. Okay, there aren't a lot of other options to pay for this, and therefore you're not doing a convenience service. You are doing an elective service that is reserved for people that need the help, but yet make too much to get on the state programs, and they have to find a way to pay for it privately. This is why the margins are better. This is why we do value-based marketing and everything else. So what's the best tip to get started? Number one is develop a plan. Okay, hands down. Understand that the hub in any community for the private pay market is going to start with the hospital. Around these hospitals, you'll have skilled nursing facilities at different levels: acute, subacute, post-acute. If you don't know what these terms are, you'll figure them out. Come back, watch our videos. We do discussions on all of this, or join our Facebook group, and the links are down below. All right, so we have these types of skilled nursing facilities and rehab centers around. Around them, we also have the assisted living facilities, independent living facilities, and the other communities. The fact is, in most communities, most people will live between 5 and 10 miles from a major hospital. Okay, in most, not in all, but in most. All right, and within these hospitals, within a 2-mile radius, you will have a large number of affiliate facilities. In other words, those acute, subacute, post-acute, those rehab centers, skilled nursing facilities, and around them, you will generally see a large population of assisted living, dementia care units, and everything else. So you have to have a plan. Understand where you're going and what you're doing. If, that's the one thing you have to do. Where are you going? Where are you going to spend your time? Qualify your facilities. Understand what the benefits are, and understand who the key players are. There's your plan. Number two is you have to have some sort of stats. If you're brand new and you've never done this before, the stats you need to bring are industry standard stats, okay? Meaning, hey, listen, studies have shown home care reduces rehospitalization by as much as 40%. All right, those are big stats. You have to show other stats of, studies have shown that it reduces depression because you have a companion, the ease on the family, increased income because of more productivity and less stress. There's a lot of statistics out there. You can do a search, or you can just call us and we'll coach you through how to prepare all of this. All right, so that's step two. So step one is get your plan together, figure out where you're going, why you're going there, and who you got to talk to. Step two, you have to figure out what are your stats. What information do you have to bring? If you are brand new, get the information that you need. Do some research on what the benefits are of working with an agency versus working, getting somebody privately. If you're an established agency, what is your readmission rate for hospitals? Are you tracking this? Are you actually tracking the discharge date to rehospitalization to recovery? What is it that you're doing? How are you coming into these facilities? How are you going to start to work on these referral partners if you don't have any information to back up what you're saying? I say this all the time. My least favorite phrase in this industry is the most commonly overused one, is that we go above and beyond for our clients. Everybody says about how much value they bring to their clients, how special they are compared to everybody else, but nobody does a damn thing to prove it. What makes you different? Have the numbers to back it up. Okay, and then number three, and this one is probably the most important thing to talk about. Okay, so we have our plan. We have our numbers. We have our information to show what sets us apart. Now, what additional value are you bringing to that referral partner? Ask yourself, what am I doing for them? Do I have a specialized program for hospitals? Do I have a specialized program for assisted livings? Do I have specialized programs for independent livings? Can I structure or group my existing service options in such a way to make that facility feel special? Can I reduce the pricing somehow? Can I make accommodations? How can I work with them? Value, 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 value. I cannot stress that enough. Okay? So those are the three starting points and the best tips that I could ever give you if you are trying to break into the private duty market. If you're already established, leverage it. If not, you have to grow it. And, again, it's all about that in-group. What is that with that in-group? That influencers network. Where, at the time of this recording, we're still knee-deep in the COVID-19 pandemic. If you're trying to wing it and do it on your own, and you haven't built up your in-group, you haven't got a plan, you don't understand what needs to happen, how are you going to do it? How are you going to move on? Well, that wraps it up. Okay, Sandra, I hope this helps you. I hope I answered your question. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment below during the replay. And also, just as an announcement, we are launching a group on how to do, not a group, I'm sorry, a course on implementation of, quality assurance checks and how to use them to grow your business. That, this is something that, we're not coaching you through it. We're giving you step-by-step with everything you're going to need, policies, checklists, everything that you need to get this up and running, and it's all white labeled for you. All right. We'll have links below in the description box on where to sign up for this, and we're offering it at an introductory price right now. All right. If the link isn't down there, please check back in a couple of days, because the time of this recording, it is, the 23rd of December, and Christmas is in a couple of days. So my team may not have been able to get all the links up and running yet. So please check back if you haven't seen it by the time the replay comes out. Thanks again for watching, everyone. We appreciate your time. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Give us a big thumbs up, and we look forward to seeing you next week.